Welcome to the Success with Jewelry podcast, where we invite you inside our conversations about business success and marketing for jewelry designers and entrepreneurs.
We're Laryssa and Liz, jewelry marketing experts with a combined 16 years of experience in jewelry marketing and proven track records in helping jewelry brands meet their goals. When you listen to or watch this podcast, you get an intimate and exclusive peek behind the curtain of all the things you wish you could know about earning success in this industry.
Welcome to episode 97. In this episode, we'll be recapping our trip to NYC. We'll chat about the shows we walked, trends we noticed, and insights we learned. In the bonus content, we'll discuss what we think is going on in the industry and share our uncensored thoughts, just for insiders.
Ooh.
To get access to exclusive content, as well as direct access to me and Laryssa, sign up by visiting successwithjewelry.com. Hey, Laryssa, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Finally recovered from the jet lag.
I know people are going to be listening to this and they're going to be like, oh, you got back like 2 weeks ago.
No, it was like a week ago.
Yeah, and this will come out about 2 weeks after, but we're recording it pretty fresh
Yeah.
from the trip and the shows. And the market week was a little bit different this time around because it was the way the shows were situated. It was a full week. Usually they overlap a little bit more. So we're not too far off in recording.
Nah, it's still fresh in my head at least.
Yeah, definitely. And it was, what did you think? This was your second New York Now experience, or
I
second.
know. Well, I felt a little more like a veteran. Like the first time around, you were with me and you were like, showing me the ropes. And now I was like, okay, I think I can do this by myself.
Definitely. So yeah, you seem like a veteran. Like you talked to everyone. I feel like last show you like talked to a few people and you like were really just kind of like taking it all in, but this
Yeah.
show you talked to everyone for a while.
Yeah, I figured, I'm here. I don't I don't have a reason to be here except to talk to people, so like why not?
And I think that that's like one of the, like, I know designers do trade shows to push business forward, move business forward, to get into stores and all of that. But there's so many things that you can benefit from at shows other than that, like just the networking, the relationships you're building with people, both buyers and editors and like people like Laryssa.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I know I'm not a buyer, but like I can give feedback, I can give thoughts. Like you can practice talking to me without feeling pressured. Like, is she going to buy something or is she not going to buy something? And so, yeah, I like to give people that experience. And it's just fun learning about their products and their stories too.
Definitely. And Zarissa was there from
Yeah.
Marketing, and Becky from Diamonds in the Library, and Alon Simage from Rough Cut. So it was cool to see like all those people too, as well as some of the buyers that I love to see at these
Yeah.
shows.
Alon was the true celebrity.
Oh my gosh. Everybody stopped and looked.
I know, it's so funny.
Yeah, it was like a celebrity walking the floor. That was very cool. And we also did a meetup, which was really, really fun. And we're going to do another one in February. I don't think Laryssa will be there because she does not go to the East Coast in the winter.
No.
If you weren't able to make it, I mean, definitely stay tuned for information about that. But everybody who listens that did come, I mean, how many listeners did we meet last week?
It was so cool. And it just reminded me like how awesome this community is within the industry, like so supportive and enthusiastic and excited and kind. And I just love that.
Yeah, I want to get into this, like what we learned from chatting with designers and buyers and things like that. And something I learned from both chatting with the designers and the buyers is that like the story is what sells the jewels. And we've been saying this from a marketing perspective, like that's what's going to help you stand out. But like it's not just in your marketing, it's in the way you're presenting yourself at a trade show. It's in as you're talking to buyers, as you're talking to editors and people like that. It's the story that sells. And Laryssa put some notes together about the designers that stood out to her, and I want her to go through all of this.
Yeah. And I didn't make these notes until a week after I came back and actually like saw these designers. And so it was like a testament to what actually stuck in my head because I saw a lot of jewelry when I was in New York. And this is not to say like if I don't mention someone or point someone out, like everyone was amazing. Literally every conversation I had, I was telling Liz, like, why are these all like the nicest people with like the prettiest jewelry? Like, how is this possible?
There's so many talented, nice people. It's wild. And I've said this before, but I'm endlessly shocked by like how many great people come into my circle and have been in my sphere like since I've entered the industry. It's very cool.
Yeah. Well, you attract them. And it was so cool. Like, there were no egos. Like, everyone was happy to chat. And so it was such a nice experience. And I think, Liz, that's why I ended up talking to people for so long because they were just so pleasant to chat with.
Definitely.
But there were a few stories for sure that stood out to me, or like even just the approaches to their assortment. Or like how the recommendations around like how this should be worn or how it should be styled or how it's meant to like work into your lifestyle. There were definitely some that struck a chord with me.
Yeah, which ones were those? Tell us about them.
Yeah, so one was 12th house. I think I probably talked to her the longest. The thing that I liked so much about it was, and now I'm totally blanking on the first name of
Kelly.
Kelly. Yeah, like how she really envisions her assortment as like a full experience. And I think that at least what I got from talking to her, she didn't like set out to make an experience. She like started with the vision for the jewelry first. And then over time, like engaging with her collectors and customers and like understanding what they like about the jewelry and how they wear it, it started to make her realize like, oh, this is part of like a lifestyle or like a way of wearing this jewelry that is more than just like the metal or whatever. And so she has like these accompanying items that go along with, you know, how you can use these talismans in your life.
Yeah, I think she has a real handle on her brand as a whole. And like even her photography, I think really aligns with the story she's trying to tell with it. But yeah, she sells like other products too and like has potential to build like a lifestyle brand around it.
Yeah, and I thought that that was really forward thinking, especially in this world where we're caught up on gold prices. And that's something that I'm going to bring up a few times today because it was such a topic. Like everyone's talking about the price of gold. It's really hard to ignore. If you're going to work in fine jewelry, that's just a thing that you have to face. Price becomes an issue. So, how can you build something that almost like transcends price? And for the right customer, they're not going to question it. They're just going to buy into the whole experience.
I think something else I love about 12th House is that she has like a collection that's super cohesive, but then she does these like little drops. So like she adds to her collection in a really thoughtful way. So
Yeah.
like one of a kind sapphire rings and like these stacking pendants that got or stacking rings that got a lot of attention. That just like it's a nice way to kind of like build out a collection without like doing a new collection every season.
Mm-hmm. And I might be getting this mixed up with someone else, so you correct me if I'm wrong. But doesn't she also work in alternative metals like palladium
Yeah,
and
she has a
things like
few
that?
palladium pieces, which is cool. And that's what, like, with the price of gold rising, you have to get creative with other materials you use,
Hmm.
which I think she was using palladium before the price of gold shifted. But now you can think outside of the box in terms of the metals you're using.
Yeah.
I also would say too that like sterling silver is a precious metal. And so if that's something that you're wanting to use in your collection, like a great example is Deborah Myers. She came out with this like killer mixed metal collection this show that I was just so impressed by, just because she kind of had to pivot because of the price of gold. But what came out of it was like so true to her and so true to her voice that it was just very exciting.
Mhm. I noticed that too about Deborah for sure. And I think she told me that she had done the show in February, but then this time around she was coming with like a different approach to price point, if I remember correctly.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think that it's interesting, like while we could see like the rising price of gold as a challenge, it can also be an opportunity.
Definitely. I very much agree with that.
So another designer you have on your list here is Kira Bowles, and her display was so eye-catching.
I love it. There were so many things that are on my like personal wish list, but I think that she's also a really good like segue for this conversation that we're having about gold because she primarily works in 9 carat, which we do not see a lot in the US. That's not like a commonly used carat for gold, but it is more common like in Europe and also in Victorian and antique jewelry. Um, and I don't think she chose that because of this like price of gold, although it happens to help and make a friendlier like self-purchase price point, especially for younger customers. But she has very like vintage and antique inspired designs, and she likes how the color of the 9 carat is like more pale and complements all the poppy gemstones that she uses.
Yeah, I love her work too. But the display, I mean, you couldn't ignore it. It was so colorful, which her brand is very much about
Yeah.
color. And it just, uh, something I really appreciated about like specifically the curated designers that I worked with at New York Now is that they all had such unique voices and they, in terms of like the collections they were presenting, but also in the way they presented it in their cases, which is so important because it's easy to like get like stellar displays and like kind of just like let the jewelry do the talking. But when you're at a trade show and buyers are zipping down the aisles, and this is something that I kind of like was reminded of this show in particular is like buyers are so busy and there were a lot of like flight delays and weather issues and stuff, so buyers had even shorter amounts of times to be at the show, so they're like trying to finish what they need, trying to check out the new designers and like just running around. And so you don't have a lot of time to tell your story. So if you're able to merchandise your case and present your collection in a way that they get it quickly, it's such a good thing.
Yeah. And at the same time, not overcomplicating it either, like making it interesting, but not like overtaking the actual jewelry.
It's definitely a balance because you want the story to be told, but you don't want like too many props and other things that distract from the jewelry. I think that another case that really stood out to me in this section is sunlit fine
Mhm.
jewelry. Like she did a really nice job kind of using beautiful colors, this beautiful yellow color and like with her displays. And I think there were like ceramic pieces too, but like it really made sense. And then she also wore like a gold cape every day, like a not a cape,
I
but
know,
like
I was gonna
no,
say she like fully embodied.
embodied it. And then if you
Yeah.
met Susan, the designer, you'd be like, oh wow, her personality embodies this too. And
Mhm.
it's so important. And you don't think about like dressing the part and thinking about all of the details about what you're wearing, how you're styling what you're wearing, how you're styling your case. And it's just like it all adds up to make it a stronger presentation.
I love that. And speaking of Susan and Sunlit and the gold, so she works in 1 carat gold, and I asked her about how is that like working with the gold prices and everything. And she's like, I'm committed to this. This is my brand identity. I just need to work on finding the customer who's not gonna like question it. And she's very, very committed to like that look of the 1 carat gold.
Definitely. And I mean, that's a trend that I saw. That's a trend I've been seeing is high carat gold and they're the to be committed to that is important. But I think yeah, she lives her brand. She embodied her brand. She did such a good job. And then also, I've said this to Susan one-on-one already, but I think that like her positivity about the show like led to success. And I think that's another thing. Like I know like mindset stuff is kind of like a little bit annoying to hear about, but it is so true that if you go in with like clear goals and a positive attitude, you are going to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And back to your point about the cases. So, like for people that aren't familiar with this curated section of New York Now, it's also a little bit like Melly in that everyone has equal playing ground with the same kind of case. And there's not much else to like the setup. I mean, at New York Now, they had a kind of poster or banner behind them. But besides that, it's not like a full booth experience that you're designing. And so, in that sense, the case and the merchandising and the display had to tell so much of a story, but again, in a balanced way.
Yeah, in a balanced way. I think that that's like such a benefit of like a show like New York Now or couture is like that their booths, you can build out a booth so that when somebody walks in, you're walking into like a showroom. So you can like tell your story and like really impact in a big way. Like two great examples at New York Now, this show was Annette, um, oh my gosh, what's it? Annette Ferdinandson, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Two great examples of like a really strong booth design at New York Now were Annette Ferdinandson and then who like had these like dark green walls and like gorgeous merchandising of her cases. And then also Eden Presley, who had like a really fun, like kind of wallpaper that like kind of matched the brand aesthetic. And like you just kind of know what the brand is about if you're a buyer walking by.
Hmm.
But
Absolutely.
shows like Melly, like for emerging brands, at the New York Now show in this curated section we're talking about, you just have a case and like, so you have to, your case has to do a lot of talking.
Yeah.
So, and then another one that you can't help but stop and look at is Tamsin Razor. I mean, like just she has like pink displays and she's actually funny. I don't think she'd mind me saying this, but like she was wearing pink every day of the show because like that's her brand and that's her brand identity. And like she had the pink displays in her case, which are super eye-popping and work really well with her jewelry and the story she's telling in her brand. But she's like, on a normal day, I'm wearing all black. Like this is not me. I don't wear pink.
Well, I love that commitment to the brand. I think if you're the representative, the maker, the designer, like you also have to embody this in a way. You can't be separate from it.
Definitely. And you have Karin Luves listed here too. And I mean, she just is so fun to chat with and has such a fun collection.
Yeah, and there's like so much playfulness in the assortment itself, especially with her charms. And then when you speak to her, it kind of brings it all to life because you get her like really vibrant energy, and you're like, okay, it makes sense that a person like this would love to play with color and all these different gemstones so much, and it really like brings it together.
Definitely. And Svetlana Laser was one of the newer brands exhibiting too. And something that I was really, I like everybody who talked to her kind of came away with this. And I'm still thinking about it, is this collection she has of wishing well rings.
Hmm.
And there's like a mechanism in them that make the stones look like they're water, like a wishing
Yeah.
well.
Hmm.
It's really incredible. And I just keep thinking about it because, like, one, we need to do a press push about it. Like, we need to talk about it more because it's just so interesting. And then I think she needs a moving component in her case to kind of like capture people's attention so she can start telling them about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is someone, of course, like the actual product and like you said, that moving mechanism caught my eye, but there was such a storytelling, like fantastical kind of component to the entire aesthetic that I'm like, okay, this person like knows the customer and I think isn't afraid to lean in to that commitment. Because I don't think it's for everyone. Like everyone would be amazed by it, but not everyone would buy it and want to wear it, kind of thing.
Right. Definitely. It's so important to lean into an aesthetic because you do stand out. And I think that just like your list of people who stood out to you is like a testament to that. I mean, all of these designers who were in this showcase and the feedback I got from buyers and all of that is like, wow, everybody had a really unique voice. And
Mhm.
that's so important if you're out there, like kind of trying to figure out which direction to go with your collection. It's like lean into what you're like gut and heart is telling you to make because like it will pay off and you will stand out.
Absolutely.
So some of the trends that I noticed during the show were like definitely silver. I mean the conversation about gold, I mean it's there. We're talking about gold prices and I think that a lot of stores were kind of intrigued by interesting silver pieces or silver collections just to kind of offer another price point to their customers. And I think silver was a trend even before the rise of gold prices. I remember talking about it like a year ago, like bold silver pieces and things like
Mhm.
that. I talked to a few buyers about, and then like mixed metals in general. I mean, have always been a thing, but I think are going to be on the rise as a trend too.
Yeah, there were a lot of examples of mixed metals in those
Um,
cases.
Definitely. And I mean, it makes it more accessible.
Mhm.
and it's okay to mix your metals. And I think that that's something that you should be telling your customers. So the other thing I think is like really personal style. So like, I mean, Tamsin Razor is a great example of that. Like, I feel like she creates pieces that can be mixed and matched and like charms that can be worn as earrings. And like, you can really like have fun with creating a look with your jewelry. But also like Karin Luves, she does charms too. And those were pretty popular. A lot of buyers were into that. There was also an emerging brand exhibiting Olive NYC, and she does very sweet like sequin charms, and a lot of buyers were interested in those.
Liz, I
So
was obsessed with those.
great charm. You
I
really
love
do.
the one necklace with all the little charmies on it.
I know. I mean, you really need that. That's a very you necklace, but price point wise, I think you need a charm.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, charms and chains, I think that customers are really like creating their own looks. And buyers are wanting to offer pieces that they can like really play with. And then something else that I keep seeing is pieces that can be worn several ways. And I think that's kind of a testament to like investing in a piece that you can wear like every day, like studs with like a bigger drop that you could add on for like an evening out or, whatever it is. So like you're investing in something that feels like you can wear it frequently.
Yeah. The brand, no, I can't remember how to say macadam.
Yeah, Macadam has really elevated pieces, like gorgeous pieces. The detail, it's just like really, really interesting work, but several pieces that can be worn several ways.
Yeah, in really innovative ways too. So it's not even just about the convertibility aspect, but it's like fun and cool to actually do the change or the swap or the whatever.
Hmm. Definitely. Um, color. Color
Yes.
is a trend. People are loving color.
Hmm. And not shying away from color in the actual displays when it made sense for the brand to be doing that.
And mixing color, like unique unique gemstones, sapphires, but also like mixing color, in unique ways. I mean, Hilary Fink uses incredible gemstones. She had a lot of fun, colorful pieces. She had this like band that was new for her, and it was like this ombre sapphire
Hmm.
around the middle, and I really loved that piece. And then 12th House had some really interesting sapphires as well.
Yep.
High carat gold, definitely something we've been seeing. I think people are into like the really rich color of it. And then another trend that's like a slow growth, I feel like it's slowly, becoming trickling down to like something buyers are looking for is sustainability
Hmm.
and conscious sourcing and all of those things. And like Mercurius is a great example of that. They're like very aware of how they're sourcing their gems and they're using Fairmine gold and like they're telling that story. Same with Stone Everett, who was a newer designer exhibiting. She has like a whole Fairmine gold collection.
Hmm.
And so I think that's something buyers have started to look at.
Hmm.
Also, I mean, um, we didn't mention Dorian Webb, but Dorian Webb has a beautiful collection too. And she brought her demi-fine collection as well and just like has really bold pieces. And I think that buyers are also looking for bold things. I think bold is in. And I think we talked about that coming out of Vegas, like the bold gold, like chunky
Hmm.
layers, like making a statement. And so I think that's something as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Did you attend the shows in New York City? Are you thinking about attending them in February? Let us know. Visit successwithjewelry.com. And if you love the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Send us a message or leave a review. Thanks for being a part of the Success with Jewelry community.